Welcome to part 3 of a 3-part series on Cold Steel Kukris. Thus far, we've looked at the Kukri machete, we've looked at the Kukri Plus, and in this video, we're going to be breaking out the Royal Kukri. Stick around. This has been an interesting series. I've heard from a lot of people, a lot of different feedback, a lot of comments, and I want to thank you all for your input. There are many who agreed with what I had to say and some who did not agree so much, but that's all right. At 411 Outdoors, I like to cultivate a friendly environment where like minds can discuss different things. And the Kukri is just a fun blade to talk about, whether we're talking about the classic models from Nepal or something like this. Now, you may not have seen the others in the series, but early on I announced that this Kukri series was not so much about bushcraft and cutting down limbs and chopping wood. This series is more focused on a combative perspective because, you know, somebody said it really well in the comments in one of the videos, I can't remember. They said the Kukri is both a weapon of war and that of peace, meaning, yes, this is a great utility tool to work with, but it's also designed for battle. And before I forget, same sheath as the Plus, just a little bit bigger. Not only is the sheath bigger, but this blade is massive. This is basically a sword. This could have been called the Kukri sword. This one's 20 3/4 inches. This is a 15.5 inch blade. This is the biggest of all the Kukris I have reviewed. This is 1055 carbon steel. It's got that matte finish on it that the others do. And a really long hand guard. You can obviously get a really long swing with this. That being said, I don't prefer a blade this long. I like the size of the Kukri Plus better than this one. Now, if we're going to talk about bushcraft and cutting limbs, this gives you a lot of reach and chopping power for getting limbs that are up high, whatever you want to do. And of course, in battle, it gives you more reach. I also feel like it slows you down as well. You don't have to share my philosophy, but my philosophy when it comes to the Kukri is that the Kukri is a hybrid between both a knife and a sword, or a knife and a machete. It can do intricate things that a knife can do, but it can also operate as a decapitating device. So yes, you're in a little bit closer than you are with a sword, but you're also going to be a little bit faster. I just like the combination of the two. I actually am more into Kukris than I am swords. Now, if you interview me and you ask me what would be a secondary go-to for me or something I'm drawn to outside of the Kukri when it comes to sizable blades, would be something about the size of the Cold Steel Warcraft Tonto that's 12 inches. The blade is like 12 inches. I think that's a phenomenal tool. You know, I like the look and feel of that, and most would say, well, Daniel, that's a sword. It pretty much is. It's a short sword for the most part, but between Kukris and something like that would be what I would gravitate towards. But again, we've got something here that's 15.5 inches. And that's what you get with the Royal Kukri from Cold Steel. Is you get one of the biggest things out there on the market right now that's probably the most affordable. You may not have $100 to $150 to spend on a Kukri that would be extremely deadly in a defensive situation, but maybe you have $35. That's about what this costs. Combatively speaking, you're going to have to make definitive swings with this. This is not something you can wield around like this really quick. This is a long weapon. Long weapons are easily intercepted if you don't capitalize at the right time, because when you are faced with someone with a long weapon, whether it's a bat, whether it's a stick, whether it's a machete, you either got to get out of dodge or you got to close the distance real fast. Because the internet knows who I am and what I study, it feeds me the kind of videos that I like to see, or that I like to see out of necessity, not so much out of pleasure. And I see a lot of fights with machetes, especially in third world countries. I saw a video the other day of 2 guys fighting with machetes out in the streets. And one guy was swinging his machete at the other, and the other guy was putting his hands up, just kind of like a knee-jerk type of block. And he made a connection with that guy's wrist in more than one occasion, and that guy's hand was laying on the ground. Now, the other guy trips and falls, and the guy with no hand starts swinging down on him. And then the guy who lost his hand picks his hand up and walks off and is still talking trash. I'm telling you, there's some crazy things going on in this world. I can't speak for other platforms, but I know for a fact that I can't put actual footage of that stuff here in this video. You have to look it up. You can just look up machete fights. You're gonna find it probably. It went viral. Pretty thick limb. I'm pretty sure I can take it with one swing here. Yeah, that was too easy. Let's step it up here just a little bit. That's a heck of a shot right there. You see that? I know I said this wasn't about bushcraft, but I'm all out of plastic bottles to sever. I've severed every stinking bottle on my property. So again, I'm showing you that to demonstrate the power and ability of the Royal Kukri. No small limb there, just a few whacks, gone. You can imagine what this can do to soft tissue. I know somebody's gonna ask me how to sharpen this. Here's the easiest way I'll tell you. Just lock it down in a vise, put it somewhere and get it in a fixed position like this, and then get your whetstone and go at it section by section, however you do it. But lock it down this way and take your whetstone to it. Now let's talk combative application with the Royal Kukri. Outside of somebody wanting something like this for bushcraft, people who are drawn to a Royal Kukri are thinking about what this can do in a bad situation, because it can do a lot of damage. In the words of like Marcada and all these guys that Forged in Fire, it will kill, as they say. It most definitely will. And in a bad enough situation, you're going to find yourself in one of two scenarios with this. You're going to be facing somebody who is aware, and you may have to ambush an attacker who may be unaware at the moment, as we talked about in the last video. No matter what the situation is, you've got to understand how this operates. And in my opinion, in order to operate something like this effectively, you've got to know how to make definitive blocks, but you also have to learn to execute definitive swings. And in this video, I want to focus on 7 swings that I think you can just do as a drill with something like this on a regular basis, working the same angles you do with a knife. I like to rest on my dominant leg. I like to do an X slash. Now, when you're slashing, don't slash outside of your range. Stay within range, slightly outside the body, not here, but here. Okay, and then you can go across here and here. Then you can go at the angle this way, here underneath and here, and then a slice down. I like to be on my dominant leg with these swings, but keep in mind, you don't have to stand in one spot. You can slash here, come here, come here, come here, come here, and maintain that motion and do that same drill. Footwork is so important anyway. Notice that I'm not here. I've got a wide stance. Now, I can move up this way. I can move back this way. I can move here. I can move here. Whichever direction I'm stepping, I go with that leg first. Here, here. So it's just like with boxing. You're moving here, 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 creating those angles, but maintaining that space and distance. So you can practice it still in one place, your body in it, nice and smooth slices within the proper range, and you can practice it moving. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just remember, don't swipe too far this way. Stay within range. Okay, don't get too far out. Either way, stay within range, and make sure that your body is in that motion as well as your hips. The Royal Kukri from Cold Steel, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope that the simple drill may give you just a way to exercise some movement with your kukri. It's good to practice these swings and get intimate with those things, because you can't do a lot of up close flipping and tricks with these things. This is a long kukri, and you're going to have to understand timing and distance very well, because if somebody is smart, they'll run from you if you have this, or they will fight desperately to close that gap. And if it's not some sort of covert ambush, you've got to know how to fight with it in that environment. What do you think about the Royal Kukri, and what's your opinion on the longer versions of the Kukri? Thanks for watching. Take care.